Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and in this video I'm going to share some information with you on a lovely little shrub called Redroot. Now the species I'm going to talk about today is Ceanothus americanus, and one of the common names of this plant is New Jersey tea, because famously during the Boston Tea Party all the tea got thrown overboard and we realized we needed something to drink. So the leaves of the redroot bush were dried and made into tea, and of course now famously has the common name of New Jersey tea. Now it's also known as prairie redroot and most commonly as simply redroot. Now this shrub is drought resistant to a certain extent. It doesn't necessarily like the desert, but it doesn't like boggy water either. So you can plant redroot in your yard if you live in a place that's temperate, that's mild, that's sunny. If you live in a place where you get all four seasons, you can definitely grow redroot. So you can not only benefit from the leaves, making the leaves into tea, but eventually your redroot could drop some little starters and you can dig those up and you can process redroot to use in your own homemade tinctures and your own homemade herbal remedies, which is what I truly love. The redroot was used by the indigenous people and the early settlers. They mostly used it for respiratory health and for digestive health. And the things that I love most about redroot is what it does for your lymphatic system. It's a lymphatic mover. It's what's known as an astringent. So it's something you don't want to necessarily be on just pure redroot for long, long periods of time. I believe that redroot is one of those plants and the medicinal properties that it has that it's like what I like to call it plays well with others. That means in herbal blends that have other supportive qualities where they actually go in and they complement each other. And this is one of the things that I love most about redroot. I've got it in a couple of my blends, most famously in the Immunity Boost, which has some other root medicines like lomatium, dandelion. Redroot is a powerful player in its ability to go after not just respiratory health, but helping to clear mucus out of the system. And from my experience, most notably out of the lungs. That's why it's so supportive for your respiratory health. It's also great for skin health. It's got anti-inflammatory properties, and it's really good for circulation. Now, if you are on prescription blood thinners, taking a pure either tincture or capsule of redroot would probably not be the smartest thing because of its ability to cleanse the lymphatic system and improve circulation. It does have some natural blood thinning properties. So this is something that you should tune in with your healthcare practitioner, your functional medicine doctor. And please know that everything I share with you is not meant to be medical advice. This is just meant to educate you and entertain you. It's all based on my own experience, on my own research, and is meant to just provide you some great information. Redroot, for all of its abilities, is, from my perspective, one of those things that grows quietly. It's this beautiful, gnarly root. In fact, if you were to ever dig up a redroot, one of the things I love about it is when the roots first go into the ground, when you first start digging, and then let's just say dig the whole thing out. The smaller ones are usually easier because once a redroot gets established, it goes really, really deep, and they can be very, very difficult to dig out. I only ever watched my dad dig one out when I was very young. I believe I was still in grade school. We lived in Oregon for a couple of years, and Oregon has places where redroot grows just native all over it. And it's a wild plant that's very prolific. It grows everywhere. And like I said, it can be very, very easy to grow in your own garden. So, and I'll talk about that in just one second. But it took my dad 3 or 4 hours to dig out this large shrub that was a redroot. And by the time he dug it out, it was probably, I would say, 4 feet of gnarled roots. But the cool thing is at the top where the roots are first in the ground, you peel off the bark so you can cut the root and turn it into a tincture. It's a light pink. It doesn't mean it's not good. It just means that's just the top of it. And that's what I've seen commonly and talked to other herbalists about, is that's what's pretty common. And then the roots that go deeper into the soil, the further you go down the root system, and you peel the bark off, that's where you're going to get the red. Now, here's something really, really amazing. And I got to experience this when I saw my dad cut up a red root. When you peel a red root and chop it up, because the best time to put it into a tincture is when it's fresh, when it's all fresh. You can still dry it and it'll still be very viable, have a lot of good properties. But from my experience, it's best if it's chopped up fresh and then put into a tincture. But when you first chop it up, it's got this amazing, sweet, earthy, a bit of a wintergreen smell. And what I love about that, this just shows you that Mother Nature is giving you this beautiful whisper of, I'm medicine, because it gives you these hints. So think about that. In fact, if you ever get a chance to experience digging up a red root to make into your own herbal medicine, appreciate these nuances that come from Mother Nature. In fact, this reminds me a little bit of the creosote bush, which when it rains, and if there are creosote bushes around, which is chaparral, the smell in the air is absolutely heavenly. In fact, I did a little video on the health benefits of the creosote bush, and I'll put a link below this in case you're interested. Really, really amazing. So if you're interested in planting a red root bush in your yard, it does take a couple of years to get where its root systems are established, where then it is extremely low maintenance. Now, if there's a severe drought, you're gonna need to water it, and I would say water it every 2 to 3 weeks. But for the most part, it doesn't need a lot of water. And a lot of people that want to plant beautiful plants in their yard, and if anything, for diversity, because there's so many beautiful things about bushes that come back every year. The red root bush has these beautiful, really waxy, thick leaves and these white, pinkish flowers. Really, really beautiful. And they don't need a lot of maintenance. And they grow and they grow and they don't get super big. They get about 3 or 4 feet tall and they get about 3 to 5 feet around. And they don't like it if you prune them back heavily. So you want to kind of take care of your red root bush. If you end up putting some in your yard or on your property, make sure that you don't over prune them, because you can actually kill them. They like to be babied a little bit. In fact, what happens with the red root bush is in places where there are fires, like forest fires, anytime a forest fire happens, and there are cycles of these forest fires, you will see some of the first growth are the red root bush will come back, because it makes the soil totally nutrient rich, and the roots of it are still there, and it's very, very hardy, and it's underground doing its thing. The fire doesn't touch it. And then when the fire is over, it's one of those plants that helps the soil regenerate, and it will grow back, and there'll be all these beautiful red root bushes all over places where there are fires. In fact, places where fires circle through, which most forests have these cycles of fires, there are typically always plants like the red root bush. So I would love to know what you think about red root. Are you familiar with it? Do you grow it in your yard? Do you get red root from your favorite herbalist or your favorite online herbal supply source and do something fun with it? I'd love to hear what you think about red root. So let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.